shocker from Srinagar MP and former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah.
जो इनने किया है 5 अगस्त को, वो यहाँ कोई कबूल करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है.
Seeking China's help for restoration of Article 370.
जब तक आप आर्टिकल 370 को रिस्टोर नहीं करेंगे, हम रुकने वाले नहीं हैं, क्योंकि तुम्हारे पास अब ये खुला मामला हो गया है.
BJP cries foul, says this statement is seditious.
Together with China, with the help of China, we would bring back Article 370. This is absolutely seditious.
BJP accuses both Farooq Abdullah and Rahul Gandhi of speaking against India's interests.
चाहे फारूक गांधी कहिए या राहुल अब्दुल्ला कहिए, दोनों में कोई फर्क नहीं है. दोनों एक ही हैं, बिल्कुल एक हैं. एक ही कॉइन के दो साइड हैं.
With enemy at the gates, should Indian political class be so divided? That's our top focus on India First. But when you hear Farooq Abdullah, do not despair. There are two images that we are putting out on your television screens: the past and the future. Take a look at the past. You have Farooq Abdullah, who's in a way blackmailing India. He's saying we'll take China's help for restoration of Article 370. Look at the future of India. A young child, Namgyal, from Chushul, a border village at the line of actual control. He salutes the valor of the Indian army and that valor that's keeping thousands and thousands of troops at the line of actual control, braving sub-zero temperatures to ensure that China's evil design does not succeed, that China's expansionism loses in India and sends out a signal to the entire world. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We'll get to that story. But first, as always, let's get started with the headlines. Our top focus story on the broadcast is a controversial statement made by Srinagar Member of Parliament, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir and former Union Minister Farooq Abdullah. In an exclusive conversation with India Today's Ashraf Wani, Farooq Abdullah talked about taking Chinese help to have Article 370 and 35A restored in the valley. Remember, we are standing right outside the Indian Parliament. It was here that Article 370 and 35A were discussed. All parties discussed it, and with over 2/3 majority, a decision was taken. Why would an elected leader seek China's help to have Article 370 restored remains the big question, and that's led to a big political battle.
अल्लाह करे कि उनके इस जोर से हमारे लोगों को मदद मिले और हमारा ये 370 और 35A रिस्टोर.
In extremely harsh sub-zero temperatures, the brave of the Indian Army are battling an expansionist China at the line of actual control from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. 20 braves made the supreme sacrifice, pushing back the Chinese army at the border in Galwan. Thousands of laborers and engineers are working round the clock, racing against time to build border infrastructure, roads and bridges to help the army better protect the LAC against China. And yet, an elected member of parliament from Srinagar, former chief minister of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir and a former union minister, seeks China's help to restore Article 370 and 35A in J&K.
उन्होंने आर्टिकल 370 को लेकर ये कहा कि हमें ये कबूल नहीं है, और जब तक आप आर्टिकल 370 को रिस्टोर नहीं करेंगे, हम रुकने वाले नहीं हैं, क्योंकि तुम्हारे पास अब ये खुला मामला हो गया है. अल्लाह करे कि उनके इस जोर से हमारे लोगों को मदद मिले और हमारा ये 370 और 35A रिस्टोर हो.
China is responsible for the deaths of 20 of our braves in Galwan. China is responsible for the current tension at the line of actual control. Crores of taxpayers' hard-earned money is being spent protecting our borders with the Indian Air Force and Navy deployed to counter China. But Farooq Abdullah seeks the adversary, if not the enemy's help, against an act passed with over two-thirds majority in Parliament. India is unrelenting in its pressure on China, and even during the ongoing 7th round of border talks, India wants China to restore the April 2020 situation at the line of actual control. But Farooq Abdullah has gone on to taunt Prime Minister Modi for trying to improve ties with Chinese President Xi Jinping, inviting him to Gujarat and Chennai for her bilateral summit.
हमारे वजीर आज़म ने उसको गुजरात भी बुलाया, उसे झूले पे भी बिठाया, उसे चेन्नई भी ले गए, वहां भी उसको खूब खिलाया.
This is not the first time that Farooq Abdullah has stirred a hornet's nest with his controversial remarks termed as treason by experts. Despite knowing facts about how Chinese were ill-treating Uyghur Muslims, Farooq Abdullah recently claimed Kashmiris would prefer to be ruled by the Chinese than a democratically elected government here. There have been angry reactions to Farooq Abdullah's rants.
एक तरह से फारूक अब्दुल्ला अपने इस इंटरव्यू में न्यायोचित ठहराते हैं चीन के इस विस्तारवादी मानसिकता को, और दूसरी ओर उससे भी बढ़कर एक तरह से एक देशद्रोही कमेंट करते हैं और कहते हैं भविष्य में चीन के साथ मिलकर अगर हमें यह मौका मिलेगा तो हम अनुच्छेद 370 वापस लाएंगे.
Some analysts see this as a desperate attempt by Farooq Abdullah to remain relevant in the politics of J&K after the modification of Article 370 and Narendra Modi government's big push to empower panchayats and bring democracy at the grassroots level. But the question remains, does seeking China's help border on treason?
Controversial statement made by the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Dr. Farooq Abdullah, has made different responses from different political parties. But in an exclusive interview to India Today, Dr. Farooq Abdullah made it clear that their party will fight till end for the restoration of Article 370 in the Jammu and Kashmir. It is worth to mention that this line has been maintained by the National Conference as well as by the PDP, both main political parties of the Jammu and Kashmir. With Roof Ahmed Ashrafani for India Today in Srinagar.
On India Today, we believe in calling a spade a spade. So let's get right down to the brass tacks. Joining me on the broadcast is Irfan Hafiz Loan. He's a lawyer. He's an activist. He joins us from Srinagar. With me is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General of Indian Army's Infantry. And Sardar R.P. Singh is the National Secretary and spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Irfan Hafiz Loan, taking China's help for restoration of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir. Is this like cutting your nose to spite your face?
See, first of all, as a student of law, I believe it doesn't amount to criminal offense. It may be shocker to you, it may be atrocious to you. I mean to say Farooq Abdullah's statement, but it doesn't attract 124A. I mean to say this sedition. It doesn't amount to sedition. So it may be atrocious, but it doesn't amount to criminal offense. Yes. Now you try to understand. You must get real. After post 5 August decision, you have seen how you have seen China's aggression in Ladakh. You have seen Nepal making amendment in its map, thereby making our territory as their territory.
We don't want Farooq Abdullah to fight at the line of actual control. We have the Indian Army that's doing that. Sir, facts, you get real. Sir, you get real. You want Farooq Abdullah also said that you'd rather be ruled by Chinese. Get real. You want to be ruled by Chinese. You want your mosques to be taken down and toilets to be made there. You want to eat.
Not only
Muslims were made to eat pork. Muslims were made to drink wine. 20 lakh Muslims are in concentration camps. Uyghur Muslims. You want China to rule Kashmir.
Majority of people, now just majority of the people in Jammu and Kashmir say that 5 August decision was unconstitutional and it was the last nail in the coffin of India. Not only Farooq Abdullah, Everybody, it's in fact the BJP
Oh,
which
come
brought
on.
disaffection and hatred
लास्ट
against the
नेल
government.
डालने वाले कितने कॉफिन में चले गए सर? हैव अ हार्ट, वेक अप,
That's your
वेक अप.
arrogance.
इरफान हफीज लोन, वेक अप.
Garo Sawant
Wake
just
up.
tried
Let
to
me get in
wake
General
up.
Sanjay Kulkarni.
Understand.
General Kulkarni, does this amount to treason?
When our government was
Does
not
this
in
amount to
existence
treason?
in J&K,
Farooq
Assembly
Abdullah
was
wants
dissolved.
Chinese.
UK
Arre, sir. Bharat. Sir.
took our inalienable right. That is 37(0) and 35A. You degraded us. You snatched statehood from us in a very
किसने दिया आपको वो राइट इनएलिएबल? किसने कह दिया? किस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में वो उसने इनएलिएबल हो गया? Let me get General Sanjay Kulkarni wants to respond to you. Let's get you some facts on the broadcast. Facts. अरे सर, पढ़ के आप नहीं आते. आप पढ़ के नहीं आते.
भारत की जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन
हिंदुस्तान के पार्लियामेंट ने आरपी सिंह, हिंदुस्तान के पार्लियामेंट ने 2/3 मेजॉरिटी के साथ उसको डिफैंग किया है. हिंदुस्तान के पार्लियामेंट में अगर आपका विश्वास हो, अगर आप चाइनीज के चेले नहीं बनना चाहते, तो आप ये समझ लीजिए हिंदुस्तान के पार्लियामेंट ने 2/3 मेजॉरिटी के साथ 370 को डिफैंग किया है. आरपी सिंह
well educated on the law. 35A was brought from the back door. The ordinance was never brought to the parliament. You say the law was never brought to the parliament itself.
It's the ordinance road and no one bothered to take care of it. And 370 also, it was said that Nehru said, "Jate jate chala jayega," and then the action has been taken off. But coming to let's talk about Farooq Abdullah, who is a habitual offender. It's not the first time. He keeps doing this every 6 months, every 1 year, when they are marginalized or when they are irrelevant in the politics. They keep issuing this statement. But this time, he has crossed a limit. He has crossed a limit, and then this is, as per me, a treason.
if he has crossed the limit, you are the government in power. What action is your government taken? क्या आरपी सिंह, will there only be a press conference or will action be taken?
Don't sir, सुनो एक मिनट सुनो. मैं आपको अरे अगर आप देश से गद्दारी करोगे तो जेल जाओगे. आप अगर आप देश से गद्दारी करोगे तो जेल जाओगे. जेल के अलावा और कोई रास्ता नहीं है. हम आपको कंसंट्रेशन कैंप नहीं डाल रहे. हम आपका धर्म नहीं परिवर्तन कर रहे. अगर आपको बहुत ज्यादा प्यार है चाइना के साथ, मैं 1 वे टिकट देता हूँ. आप चले जाइए और जाकर वहाँ उइगर्स के साथ रहिए. वहाँ पर कंसंट्रेशन कैंप में रहिए. वहाँ पे रीएजुकेशन कैंप में रहिए. अपनी दाढ़ी बनवाइए, अपने बाल बनवाइए और अपना ऊंचा पजामा पहनना छोड़ दीजिए. वहाँ पर हम लग जाएंगे आपको बात. यहाँ इतनी बात करते हैं आप प्रेस की आजादी की, अपनी स्पीच की आजादी की. आप वहाँ पर एक अक्षर नहीं बोल पाओगे जाकर उनके मुसलमान के साथ.
अंग्रेजों के समर्थक थे आप, मुखबिर थे अंग्रेजों के, और हमें कह रहे हो कि आप देश से भागो.
एक एक करके देखिए, दोनों का एक साथ बोलने का कोई तुक नहीं है. Gentlemen, one by one. Gentlemen. Okay, both faders down. Let me bring in Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. General Kulkarni, you heard what Farooq Abdullah said. You're also hearing what our lawyer friend Irfan Hafiz Loan is saying. Does this amount to treason, especially what Farooq Abdullah said, as the BJP alleges?
Gaurav, evident that the mask is off. Hypocrisy is there to be seen. And notwithstanding whatever it is, I will always pray to Allah that such wishes will never be fulfilled. Never be fulfilled. Inshallah, they will all suffer if they continue to think the way they are thinking. We are Indians. We all are Indians. When the Treaty of Accession was signed, there was no 370 and 35 alpha. 370 and 35 alpha were inserted much later with a view. And thereafter, also when his father, Sheikh Abdullah, spoke against the country, what happened? For 10 years, he was in prison. Now I look at it, thank God that 370 was abrogated.
Yes.
If not for abrogation and the bifurcation of the state into 2 union territories, imagine someone who's been the ex-chief minister, someone who is the member of parliament, speaks for the Chinese. And imagine what's going on along the LAC. And if someone like this who has to speak, and if somebody in Jammu and Kashmir that only the Kashmiris own Jammu and Kashmir, they're sadly mistaken.
It's a matter of
Irfan Hafiz Loan. Hear it from the general. And Irfan Hafiz Loan, there are two pictures I'm putting out on TV right now. One is the past, which is Farooq Abdullah. Other is the future. That youngster, that little child from Chushul, he was denied his rights for decades because Kashmir took the lion's share of resources. Now that boy will get what he rightly deserves. इरफान हफीज लोन, कश्मीर एक हिस्सा है, जम्मू भी है, श्रीनगर भी है, लद्दाख भी है, तीनों को अधिकार मिलने चाहिए. इरफान हफीज लोन, समझ जाइए, you are only a part of a very big picture. You are not the big picture yourself.
Abrogation of 37035A snatching statehood
was an act of parliament.
That was not solution. And for your kind information and for the information of respected
in your opinion, RP Singh, somewhere down the line, your government also has failed to win hearts and minds in the valley or hearts and minds of people like Farooq Abdullah and Irfan Hafiz Loan.
No, we are not bothered about Farooq Abdullah, Mr. Loan. They are just one or two individuals. Majority of Kashmiris are for abrogation of 370. You are just a loner in the valley, sir. आपको पूछता कौन है घाटी के अंदर? आपको घाटी में पूछता कौन है? आप घाटी में जाते नहीं, घाटी में लेना नहीं, देना नहीं. आप वहाँ पर बंद कमरे में जाकर बात करते हो. Sir, there are 30,000 panchayats. There are people who have been elected in panchayats who are the real leaders on ground, who are delivering on ground. इनकी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि ये वहां से कट गए हैं, इनसे कोई बातचीत करता नहीं. ये these are marginalized lumpen now who were trying to gain some limelight.
बड़ी बात आप कह रहे हैं. Let me get Irfan Hafiz Loan to quickly respond to it. Irfan Hafiz Loan, क्या ये प्रॉब्लम है? एग्जिस्टिंग नेता की दुकान बंद हो रही है because of पंचायत power.
He is told by Indian Parliament that he can't issue such statement. He should resign as member of Parliament.
It's a matter of serious concern.
Sir, he can't issue as member of Parliament.
Okay, let me once again. No, let's restore sanity. Let's restore some order. And General Kulkarni. अरे इरफान भाई, ऐसे चिल्लाने का फायदा नहीं है. General Kulkarni is the problem that people like Farooq Abdullah and maybe Mehbooba Mufti or the entrenched thing because of power going to panchayat level leaders, their value, their respect, their clout is no longer there or is on the wane. That is why these controversial statements to remain in the limelight.
There is no doubt, Gaurav, after all, 370 and 35 alpha abrogation has led to some people losing their entire privileges and rights. They were the rulers. They just replaced whoever the king was there. And as a result of which, they feel uneasy. And there is no denying the fact. But whatever it may be, you can't sleep with the enemy. This is not acceptable. This is highly deplorable, highly condemnable, and highly objectionable. I can have problems with my country. I can have many disputes with my country, but I cannot claim that I will take the help of some other country to sort out the problems of my country. That means I am disloyal. It is definitely, I don't know what they have to say. I am not very familiar with the constitution and the articles that is quoting. But definitely, as a layman, I can say this is nothing but treason. This is sleeping with the enemy, no doubt in my mind.
I will let that be the last word on the broadcast. General Kulkarni, that little boy from Chushul who's saluting our soldiers, look at his level of love for our boys who are battling it out for us at that line of actual control. Farooq Abdullah perhaps could take a leaf out of his book. Irfan Hafiz Loan, RP Singh and General Kulkarni, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. I want to now shift focus to a very positive development that's taking place in Ladakh, Jammu, Kashmir and in other border parts of our country, including Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim. 44 bridges were inaugurated by Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh today. These are bridges built by the Border Roads Organization. They're not only connecting India, they're also taking development, last mile development and roads to the line of actual control and to the line of control. I've had the privilege of traveling to Daulat Beg Oldie to see some of these bridges on ground. This is a report that India Today has filed.
India has sent out a strong message of its intent to protect its borders. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Monday inaugurated 44 bridges to ease the movement of the armed forces in strategically important areas. The bridges are built in the border areas of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Punjab.
एक साथ इतनी संख्या में पुलों का उद्घाटन और टनल का शिलान्यास अपने आप में मैं मानता हूं कि एक बहुत बड़ा रिकॉर्ड है। 7 राज्यों तथा केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों में स्थित ये सारे ब्रिज कनेक्टिविटी और डेवलपमेंट के एक नए युग की शुरुआत करेंगे।
The defence minister clearly indicated who was creating unrest on the borders.
साथ ही हमारी उत्तरी और पूर्वी सीमा पर पैदा की गई स्थितियों से भी आप भली भांति परिचित हैं। पहले पाकिस्तान और अब चीन के द्वारा भी मानो एक मिशन के तहत सीमा पर विवाद पैदा किया जा रहा है।
Most of the 44 bridges, including 7 in Ladakh, will help the armed forces in ensuring quick movement of troops and weapons.
इस ब्रिज के बनने से पहले यहाँ पर एक बेली ब्रिज हुआ करता था जो कि क्लास 24 था, इसका मतलब कि उसके ऊपर लोड क्लासिफिकेशन 24 टन की ही गाड़ी जा सकती थी। और आज इस ब्रिज के बनने के बाद इस हाईवे के ऊपर 70 टन की गाड़ी इस ब्रिज के थ्रू पार हो सकती है आराम से। डबल लेन ब्रिज है। इस ब्रिज के बनने से आर्मी की स्ट्रेटेजिक मूवमेंट में तो फ़ायदा है ही है, क्योंकि आपने देखा कि रोज़ यहाँ पर कितनी आर्मी की गाड़ियों की आवाजाही है। उसके अलावा लोकल पॉपुलेशन और सिविलियंस को भी इस रोड के, इस ब्रिज के बनने से बहुत ज़्यादा फ़ायदा है।
The Border Roads Organization is working round the clock to bridge the critical gaps in infrastructure. We showed you exclusive visuals of the Durbuk-Shok DBO road. India Today is the only channel to travel on the 255-kilometer long strategic road that runs parallel to the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh.
I'm standing at Daulat Beg Oldie, the world's highest advanced landing ground at an altitude of 16,696 feet in eastern Ladakh. Our journey begins at Durbuk at 14,500 feet and ends here, the crucial DS-DBO road.
Along with the bridges and the recently inaugurated Atal Tunnel, India has made rapid strides in strategic build-up. The multiple corridors will provide the military access to this remote, mountainous frontier region in a crisis scenario, giving the forces an edge to swiftly transport men and machines. With Gaurav Sawant and Manjeet Singh Negi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.